and welcome to today's episode of Chapter by Chapter for Eye of the World. I am your host, Will Cowan, and with me, like always, is the dapper Mr. Steve Haynes. Steve Haynes, how you doing today?
Hello, Will. Dapper as always.
That is the worst English accent I have ever heard.
It wasn't English.
It wasn't?
It was South Cockney Wales.
Oh, sorry. Then it's pretty good.
I'm going to apologize to everyone for everything I've said in the last 15 seconds.
Yep.
But welcome to today's episode of Chapter by Chapter. And today's chapter? That's right. What chapter is it? It's chapter 12.
We're chapter 12.
It's chapter 12. Across the Taren. Listen, guys, I'm having a rough time today. It's Tuesday, I think. And hey, I need you guys to give me a break here. Chapter 12. Across the Taren.
We're going across that Taren, yo. Yeah, so if you were with us with our last episode, which if you weren't, go back, listen to that episode, then come back here, and then you know what we're talking about. The group, our team, our quest buddy role-playing team.
Our band of adventurers.
A band of adventurers have reached the Taren River, and they're about to cross. They've given some money over to Master Hightower, who is the river's ferryman, and
he has granted them passage.
They're basically ready to go. Master Hightower, excuse me, I've got a drier throat today. Master Hightower, he runs off, he grabs a few of his buds, but before he comes back,
he grabs. You say he grabs buds, but he grabs like 5 or 6 buds.
Yeah,
who are more of like guards.
Yeah,
they aren't guards.
They're like ferryman guys, guards. But like what I was trying to get to was before he comes back, I think Lan kind of tells everybody to kind of get their weapons ready in a way.
Well, Lan, I think a couple of things. I think Lan sees the concern and sort of doubt in Master Hightower, because Master Hightower is also, you know, a little cautious of this band of adventurers. So Lan tells everyone to pull their cloaks back and expose their weapons. It goes both ways, because it's kind of like showing people don't fuck with us, but it's also showing people we're showing our weapons. We're not hiding anything.
Yeah. And Lan kind of has a little bit of a conversation with Rand about that specific subject, because he's like, we just don't know. They may not trust us. We don't really trust them. And Rand's kind of having this realization at this moment, like, oh my God, like the real world sucks.
Yeah. And so Master Hightower sees all this happening. I mean, because they have exposed their weapons, but they also put their hands on the hilts, and, you know, they're ready just in case. Everyone except for the Gleeman, Tom, who is like picking at his fingernails with a dagger, just like hanging out, which is also oddly intimidating.
Well, like the way that he describes, he pulls out the knife, he just like flips it and he does like this cool twirl thing, and he starts picking his teeth with it, or like picking his nails with it, or something.
Picking his nails and his teeth and twirling it around and just being like, just showing his prowess and skill.
Yeah.
In the dagger.
Which I don't know if that's more like a don't fuck with me sort of thing, or more of a...
It's both. Again, it's both.
Or just kind of like entertaining. Just kind of poof.
It's both. No, it's not. He's not doing it to entertain. He's doing it to show his dagger, and he's doing it to show his skill with the dagger.
I guess so. Yeah. No, you're right. You're totally right. They all get onto the ferry. Once they've kind of set up that expectation between the two groups, like there's not really a lot of trust.
It's just tension.
Yeah. They all board the ferry and they start crossing the river, and the river is still just like covered in fog. They can't see anything. In fact, like when the ferryman's group comes by, there's a little sentence that mentions about how the torch that one of them's carrying is burning the fog around it. Like, that's how thick the fog is. It's you can see
it's
it
magic
getting
fog.
It's magic fog. and it's burning and that sort of stuff. So it's still pretty. They're still treating it as if they're being pursued.
Well, they
Hardcore
are
right now.
because
Yeah.
they can still hear the what's it called? They can still hear the Drakkar in the distance screaming
Yeah.
like a man with knives, dying from knives, and you know they can hear it, and some people think that it is still coming after them, but Lan is just like, don't worry, it's just looking for us. It's not coming after us. It's far away.
It's far, and they can kind of hear like drift off and then come back and then drift off and come back.
Yeah.
Finally, they cross the Taren River. They get to the other side, and they start paying Master Hightower and his team the other half of money plus some extra silver coins. Moraine's like, we're gonna give you some extra silver coins.
And really, it was like he didn't bring like guards or anything per se. Like I misspoke, I guess. They were more like he mentions like he brought people. He basically brought other sets of eyes.
Yeah,
he didn't want to make sure he was gonna. He didn't want to get robbed. He didn't want to get hurt. He didn't know. But he's like, if I bring 6 other guys, I'm probably safe.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's a ferry, and they have like they have to pull in fog. They have to pull it in fog. It's a ferry full of horses and people.
Yeah, and someone's got to operate that thing.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. So like, I think it's definitely a multiple man team, but also having the extra set of eyes isn't a bad idea. But when they get across, they start paying the other half, and they start giving some coins to the rest of the team. And as that's happening, the ferry breaks off from its ropes and starts circling around in a whirlpool that was not there before. And then it breaks apart and just floats down the river. And they're all like, what the hell is happening?
Who's on the ferry at that part?
What's that?
Point? Is anyone on the ferry at that point?
No, they're all off the ferry at that point.
Is anyone? Is there anyone on the ferry?
No, I don't think there's anybody on the ferry, because kind of the point that that's being made here is that Moraine did this because Moraine and Lan don't really react to it. They're just kind of like, oh, that sucks. Here's some money. Oh, so I think everybody was off the ferry at that point, and then it broke apart and just went down the river, which is kind of like they're covering their tracks. Exactly. And I think while Lan and Rand were talking, Lan was like, I don't think this guy would like sell us to the Trollocs, but like, we don't know. But just to like add that bit of safety between and just cut off that little bit of transportation that separates the Mirror from the rest of the group. That's key to them. So they cut off Moraine destroyed the ferry.
Yeah, cutting off the trail, hopefully ending the pursuit.
Yeah, exactly. And they go, that sucks, and they give him the money, and they run off, and that pretty much ends the transaction between the two groups here. They start walking through the forest, and as they are walking further and further away from the river, the fog starts to dissipate a little bit. It starts to get a little bit clearer.
It's wearing off. Yeah.
It's wearing off. And that's where Moraine, like, I can't remember who says that. I wonder if it was Matt or Perrin. I think it was one of the kids, but they're like, why don't you just make it foggy all the way from here to Bearlawn? And Moraine makes the point of like, well, if I did that, they know where we're going because it'd be fog all the way there. And the Mirror can guess that no problem. So instead, she kind of did this whole random area that kind of encompassed the area where they could be, but it would take hours for the Drakkar and the Mirror to like fully navigate and fully investigate that entire area.
Yeah, because it was such a vast area. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vast distance.
It's a lot going. It's a lot of trees, man. You gotta look under every tree. You gotta scream a lot, get people scared, get them running.
So it's, I think it's at this point when Egwene and Moraine go into like a cave.
Well, they first get to their They get to their camp first, right? And it shows that Lan already had this point kind of picked out, this area kind of picked out for a camp, because he goes behind like a tree or a rock or something like that, and he pulls out a bunch of provisions. He's like, good spot as any, and I like to be prepared. And they set up camp for that night. And then that's when Egwene and Moraine's like, "Can I talk to you for a second? Just a
Yeah.
little quick
Do you mind
chat.
coming into this cool cave with me?
I got this cool cave over
Check out
here.
this spooky cave.
It's let's look. I'm magic.
The cave. I'm like a wizard.
I'm
This
like a wizard.
cave is like full of trees and branches and stuff. It looks really cool. Come on in.
Come on, just Egwene though.
You're a wizard too, Harry.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
That is the
basically what happens
conversation.
here.
That's the conversation that they have where Moraine sits aside with Egwene and goes like, "You've got it. You've got the touch."
Well, she tells her that she actually doesn't have to learn the one power because she is born with it. It comes to
Yeah,
her inherently.
yeah. It's not about learning the power. It's more about how to access that power.
Yeah.
The way that she kind of describes it is that the power is like a river, and the Aes Sedai are like water wheels, and they kind of pick up that
They
power.
turn the river. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that. I like that kind of
Use it and then it goes back.
exactly. So it's not really their power. It's not. They're not conjuring anything. They're just like working with the natural world that's around.
Yeah,
them.
the power's already there. They're just sort of manipulating it.
Yeah. So then Moraine's like, we're gonna do this. She gives kind of like a little bit of a history of the Aes Sedai. Not a lot though, but she talks about how the one power is kind of broken into two different. I can't remember if we've already talked about this on the pod, but the one power is broken up into two different genders. Basically, there's like the Sardine and the Sidar, maybe
Sardine?
sardines. You got you got your sardines, and then you got your shrimps. I can't remember the actual the terms here, but she's like kind of explaining a little bit of like how it's broken up between the two.
She's giving her a breakdown, and then she gives her a stone, or she holds up a stone, and sort of starts like, she's like, let's just try something here.
Yeah,
and starts trying to like talk her through the process of channeling.
Yeah,
and it works, and the stone like lights up.
Well, like it mostly like does like flickering.
It's like a little flicker.
It's like a flicker,
but it's something.
And then it's finally like the last little flicker is very dim, very weak, but it's still there. And Egwene's like, "Oh, this sucks. Like I thought it was gonna be more than that." And Moraine's like, "Hold up,
You don't understand what you just did.
you don't know what you just did.
People like, that takes people like months of training.
It takes forever, and you've been able to do that. So you have a very strong connection to this one source, the true source, the one power." And she says this line, which I think this is going to lead us into our glossary, where she's like, "You can go far, might even be on the Amerlin seat one day." And the Amerlin seat.
What is the Amerlin seat?
What is the Amerlin seat, Steve?
The Amerlin seat is the title of the leader of the Aes Sedai, elected for life by the Hall of the Tower, the highest council of the Aes Sedai, which consists of 3 representatives from each of the 7 Ajas. The Amerlin seat has, theoretically at least, almost supreme authority among the Aes Sedai. She ranks as the equal of a king or queen. So she is, she's queen. She's queen wizard. But she would be queen wizard. The Amerlin seat is the seat for the queen wizard.
I love it.
Essentially.
See, this is why this show exists, to break it down. For people that might not know what an Amerlin seat is.
Do we want to give the Aja glossary entry while we're at it?
Yeah, so during that same conversation, Moraine mentions the Red Aja for she kind of mentions the Ajas, and we don't know what the Ajas are. Nobody knows exactly like each purpose of the Aja, but
no, they've been mentioned a bunch. Green, red, different colors.
Yeah, in our last podcast, actually, we talked about Ajas a little bit, but dive into it, Steve. What are Ajas?
The Aja are societies among the Aes Sedai, to which all Aes Sedai belong. They are designated by colors: blue Aja, red Aja, white Aja, green Aja, brown Aja, yellow Aja, and gray Aja. Each follows a specific philosophy of the use of the One Power and purposes of the Aes Sedai. For example, the Red Aja bends all its energies to finding and gentling men who are attempting to wield the power. The Brown Aja, on the other hand, forsakes involvement with the world and dedicates itself to seeking knowledge. There are rumors, hotly denied and never safely mentioned in front of any Aes Sedai, of a Black Aja, dedicated to serving the Dark One. So the Black Aja definitely exists. That's all I'm saying.
Yep, 100%, and they definitely serve that Dark Lord.
Yeah, and I actually had to deal with the Brown Aja this morning, which is a little unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, so the Aja are different. This Aes Sedai thing is deep. It's vast. It is all across the world. These are different segments, different covenants, different sectors of the Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
Do you say no?
No, I said yep.
Yeah. All dealing with different things, as we said there. So that's something that I'm sure we will get more and more of and learn about all the different ones.
We'll see some red Ajas and green Ajas and brown Ajas on the road ahead for sure. And that more or less wraps up this chapter here. Egwene, I said the ending of the chapter is her exclaiming to Rand, going like, "I'm gonna be an Aes Sedai." So
yeah, she's pretty stoked.
She's pretty stoked, and it ends the chapter on a pretty upbeat note, which a lot of the chapters up to this point have been kind of sad, not a lot of upbeats, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that wraps up the chapter today. We'll be back again tomorrow with chapter 13, Choices. Which is very ominous.
Choices.
Thank you guys so much for listening, and yeah, we'll see you guys all tomorrow.
Choices.